Welcome back to Shark Nation. We are live and ready to rock and roll Monday. Jason, how's life, man? How's life?
Doing awesome, man. Living the dream, getting some clarity on some rental properties. So, digging deep into the numbers over the last couple of days, checking out cash flow numbers and how much equity I have in these dumps so I could sell them all. No, just kidding. Yeah, but yeah, no, it was good. Just getting clarity. It's always one of those things. It's me and Ryan call it like a head trash thing. Kind of one of those things that you need to do. Just dive back in there and just get some clarity. So I just got it done. So I'm super pumped up that it's off the list. It's like a big weight off the shoulders.
Gotcha. Well, a clear mind takes action, a clouded mind sits still, right?
26 units going through leases and expenses and taxes and all the bills for each one. Oh, dude, the pain in the balls. I have a stack here.
What was your takeaway seeing
This
it all?
is just sewer bills.
What was your takeaway when you saw all the numbers together?
More people need to invest in real estate. That's my key takeaway on that for sure.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Well, speaking of, speaking of taking action or whatever, we're gonna talk about commitment today because I think the reason why we want this to be relevant, we definitely talked about commitment before. It's not a new subject for us on this podcast, but I think it's a good time to talk about it because there's so much noise and so much stuff going on, whether it's the buyer agency situation and vacations ending, kids going back to school. Just I think it's just a good time to bring it back up. So that's the reason for it today. So um I guess I'll start with like to you, Jason, like what does commitment mean to you?
Do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. Pretty simple, right? Um, you kind of touched on the buyer agency stuff. We've kind of been getting some heat on that. But like I said, are you going to commit to your craft, right? Are you going to either sit back and let all these changes happen to you and become a victim of it? Or are you going to commit to learning what you need to do to be successful in the changing environment and make it happen? So I mean, but commitment, it's super simple to me. Do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it.
Well, here's the thing. When I'm talking about commitment, I'm talking about commitment to doing the activities that drive the results in your business, right? Because here's the deal. If you go to the gym, go to the local gym, right? And they change the process for scanning your barcode when you go in, or they change your contract that you signed, you still have to go to the gym to get the result. So that the buyer agency stuff is just the formalities legal. You still have to have a connection with a human being. You have to have commitment to the actions that drive the connections with the human beings. Period. End of story. None of that lawsuit stuff matters if you're not committed to actions that drive the result in your business. That's why I want to bring it up today, because agents listening to the show, well, we want you to get free value out of this show. That's the point. Like, we want to pour value into the real estate community. And the number one thing you need to hear today is, well, not to hear, is to be reminded of, is you need to be committed. You need to
Yep.
be committed. But here's the thing about commitment, and this didn't make sense for me for a while. I mean, I guess it's pretty obvious, but I heard it a lot, and it never really made sense. I heard John Cheplack say it a lot. Commitment. The thing about commitment is it's defined by the result. What does that mean? If I say I'm committed to going to the gym 5 days a week and I went 4, that means I'm not committed because it's defined by the result. And that's okay. Like, life happens. You're going to have off, like, you know what I mean? You're going to have holidays and things. You get right back on the track. I'm not here to say, like, oh, you're bad because you weren't committed. Like, it's not what this is about. But it's about understanding that if you say because, well, here's the thing. And let me ask you this, just how many people tell you some form of I'm committed, or I do the work, or I have good work ethic? How many? Give me a percentage. How many people tell you that?
Oh, over 75.
How many people stay true to that over 3, 6, 9 months, a year?
Oh,
Percent.
not too many for sure. I'd say probably 5 to 10%. Um, commitment, accountability, all kind of tying into the same thing. I'm trying to remove the language of try for our team meetings, right? There's no more try. I'm going to try to make my calls today. I'm going to try to do X, Y, Z. It's like that. A different, simple mindset shift. I'm committed to doing ABC. I'm committed to make my calls. I'm committed and be specific, right? Something specific, measurable, actionable on, right? I am committed to make 20 calls per day for 5 days of the week, right? That's a commitment. I'm going to try to make my calls. You know, I have a couple agents on the team, and it's like, struggling for the activity. And we bring up their follow up us and we take a look at the results. And it's like, well, you tell me you want to do this, but your activity is not in alignment. So what do you want to change? Do you want to change the result or do you want to change your commitment? Do you want to recommit or do you want to change your goal? Because if the activity level that you have now carries on, you're not going to be able to hit your goal. So you want to decrease your goal or do you want to increase your commitment?
And it's, you're listening to this or you've heard us before, or you've heard other the people before, like you've heard this stuff before, like this stuff, like people watching, like you but it's everything. It's missed so it's I don't it's because I didn't understand it because I like you do the math with people and it's like, well, this is the thing that's going to lead to the thing, and it's like, yeah, I get it, makes sense, and you get like that agreement, right? And then they don't stay committed. Like, or I'm gonna start going to the gym. I'm gonna start going. Cool, cool. They're there for a week. They're there for two, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
You
So
know.
instead, like I said, everybody does it. We all struggle with some commitments. It's just being human, right? So, what's some actionable steps that you could recommend to somebody to keep their commitment?
If you're not where you want to be with it, I think the first thing I do is lower the bar. If it says, so say, all right, we're in phone calls and we're at 20 calls. Let's do that. And you're not, you're consistently not hitting it and you get frustrated with it, start at 5 a day. Start at 2 a day. Like I just start getting that, build that habit of consistency of winning. You're going to stack on it really, really fast if you lower it enough. Like sometimes we overcommit and we get it, and I say this a lot, we get stuck in that negative feedback loop.
Yeah,
You know, if we would just make a commitment that we can handle, like that's the thing. So yeah, okay, good. No, this is really good because it's a perfect live example of an action step, or somewhere I interacted with this in the past week. I have some of Brittany's, some of the mom friends are going to these classes at the gym. They're an hour long.
mhm,
Okay, really good stuff. I mean, it's an hour workout. It's nonstop. It's good. And like they're like, you need to go to that too, or whatever. You need to do that. And I'm like, I'm not doing that.
yeah. This seems miserable.
Well, here's why. Not because I'm willing, but here's the thing. I'm in a really, really good rhythm with it right now. I'm meeting my commitments for the gym. Mine,
Yeah,
but when I go, it's a half hour. It's not an hour.
yeah,
Because I go 4 days a week minimum, period. It's happened, it's documented, it's real. I'm committed, right? It's defined by the result. If I go do that and I wear myself out in an hour, I'm probably not. I'm gonna take 2 or 3 days, or I'm gonna like it's gonna mess with. I know it. So instead of over committing, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna commit to that because I know it's gonna shake up my rhythm.
yeah,
I'd rather stay these small wins, and stack them consistently over time because I will still be doing the thing a year from now. Well, I'm not saying they are or aren't. They might be. And I think the one who went like 3 days a week, I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Like
yeah,
you're better than me. I can't do an hour or 3 days a week. I can do 4 days a week, half hour, but I can't do an hour 3 days a week. I can't.
yep. So I just heard a good analogy on the Ed Milet show, right?
There's
Um,
like,
our
what is
boy,
my
hey, but on the Ed Milet show, right? He was talking about the same thing with, not making it so overwhelming. Say you want to start getting up early. So say you wake up at 7, you want to wake up at 5. He says the reason people fail with that is because, you immediately wake up at, set your alarm for 5. And then by noon, you're exhausted and you're cranky and you're not, in that same kind of, got your mojo going, right? But he said if you set your alarm clock 15 minutes earlier, so now instead of 7, you're 6:45, and do that for 30 days. You're not going to feel the change. And then do it to 6:30, another 15 minutes for another 30 days. You know, Within 6 months, you're going to kind of hit your goal. I know my math is fucked up on that, but you get the idea,
Yeah.
uh, right? By the time you get done doing your half-hour increments, you're going to be at your 5 a.m. wake up. The 5 a.m. club for all you uh, monk. Oh Jesus, I can't think of the book. The monk who sold his Ferrari, Robin, whatever. But he has a book, 5 a.m. Club. But
Yeah.
that'll help you hit your goal. So what we're saying is, take small goals, take them in bite-sized chunks, get that win under your belt, and then slowly increase your commitment to it. A lot of times agents are like, I'm going to make 100 calls a day. They make 100 calls the first day and they're like, oh, this is terrible. And then they don't want to get on the phone the second day. But if you do 20 and then do 20 and then do 20 and then do 20, you know what I mean? You're much more likely to stay consistent and, recommit to it as you do it.
And so basically our action steps are under commit a little bit, like find a level that you can do, so you're not trying, so you are doing,
Yeah.
in real, I mean, it comes back to Star Wars. I gotta do it, is it's, I mean, you can't miss his line. It's, but Yoda, right? Flips on Luke whenever he says there is no try. There is only do or do not. There is no try. And that is exactly what commitment is. You either are committed or you're not. There's no, I'm kind of committed.
Yeah. Try is like the worst word in like the English language, I think. I think it just sets you up for an excuse to not do something. I tried it, just didn't work out or whatever. But if you kind of have that extra level and just change your verbiage, I'm committed to it, now your mindset's like, okay, now I got to do it, you know?
So that came up in our meeting, and I had noticed, a lot of people do the thing where it's like, I'm going to try this for 6 weeks and see how it goes, or I'm going to try this for 2 months, and they set these deadlines. And, and it's funny, like I look back at my real estate career, and of course we have like indicators, like I want to see where I'm at in Christmas, or I want to see where I'm at, I want to see how far this is, of course we're going to pick our head up and look 100%. But when I think back, like when I've had the successes, I just came in and went, like for real estate, for example, I just came in and I'm like, I don't care what happens. I'm figuring this out. I don't care how long it takes. I don't know. There wasn't even necessarily like a number back then for me of, things. It was just like, I'm figuring it out. I'm committed to figuring it out.
When I left my corporate W-2 job, I was in the same boat, right? It was in the kind of the beginning of the shifting market. Jason the genius leaves his 6-figure W-2 job to go full-time real estate when during COVID, like a big dummy. No, just kidding. But yeah, it's true. So, but I burned the boats. There was no going back. Not burn the boats with relationships. I still have an awesome relationship with my old boss, and left on good terms. I gave him like fucking 6 months notice before I left. You know what I mean? So train new guys, all that kind of good stuff. But there was no going back. There was no option B. It wasn't I was going to try this. It's like this is going to happen, and I'm going to make it happen.
This is good, and this is a good transition into something else. As I was talking with Brittany last night about this, and we talk about it a lot. Personal responsibility. We talk about that a lot. But I I've had a big shift personally in the past year or so. I mean, you rode alongside and seen it. And I
Yeah.
think you always there's these little things you can change, but like the one thing that really changes everything, because we were talking about this, is personal responsibility. And that's what changed for me. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of other examples I could use, sober and stuff like that. But when you really look at it, for me at least, I adopted this no excuse mentality, I call it. But at the end of the day, it was personal responsibility. It was it's no, well, this because of the market, or well, this because of the form changes, or well, this because it's just Nope. Everything I got is 100% because I did the things to lead myself here. When you can say that,
Yeah.
it sounds simple, but to actually believe that yourself and feel that, I'll tell you the one thing. Well, it's the one thing that will change everything, but it gives you control. You no
Yeah.
longer feel at the mercy of whatever the hell's thrown at you.
There's
And go ahead if you had
I was
something.
gonna say there's an awesome book, Jocko Willink, Extreme Ownership, where he talks a ton about this concept where, if there's an issue, it's not pointing the blame, it's my fault. No matter what it is, you're taking personal responsibility for it. And his big line is discipline equals freedom. When you are committed, you realize how much more freedom you have if you stick to the commitments you have.
Absolutely. I think that's, it was of all over the years, I mean, sure there were things that worked, but I always had that the other mindset of where it's like, well, I'm going to try, or well, it was hard because of this, or well, and whenever I think about a year or so ago, I think is where it happened, started to happen for me mentally, where that little shift went. And it was like, nope, everything you got is from what you have done. It's 100% in your control. And, eh, and I just, everything from there has just been that way. And it's like, because here's the thing, it's like, so you tried a program that you paid for and it didn't work. Well, I bet you somebody else got results from it. So you joined a brokerage and it didn't work for you. Well, I bet you somebody else does well at that brokerage. So you tried a lead generation source and it didn't work for you. Well, I bet you somebody else makes it work for them. So you went to the gym and it didn't work for you. Well, I'm pretty sure that works for a lot of people.
For sure. So let's flip it on its head though, right? You just mentioned that something clicked, right? What do
Right.
you say to that person where, maybe it just didn't click yet? How do you get them over the edge, to kind of, you know, like you said, take that baby step for commitment and kind of just like owning, hey, look at maybe it was me that didn't do what I was supposed to do. Maybe I just need to own up on it. And then, the nice part is when you own up on your mistakes, like you said, you can dictate the life that you lead, your choices and everything that you make. I always say the choices you make dictate the life you lead. If you own your choice that you messed up, like you said you did, right? And now guess what? The nice part is, yep, you messed up. What's the other nice part? Who could fix it? Me, right? So if you know you messed up and you know you could fix it, then just taking that small actionable steps to get to the next step is where you need to do next.
Yeah. And that's, I think what you're asking is a really, really,
Going
that's a big
deep.
dollar question. Well, it's a big dollar question. I think that's a really, really hard one to solve, because I don't think you can make somebody see that.
Hmm.
All I think you can do is give them an environment that shows them what it looks like and model the behavior. I mean, because I mean, I even think about I even think about people I've interacted with in the past year, and I've directly kind of told them these things or tried to, like attack it, and it's not received. It's not received at all. But I have seen other people become more committed. The that I'm around. The only reason it happened is because I did it, and I showed them the way. So I guess to answer it, it's model it. You have to model it yourself, which sucks because, well, it sucks. Well, it sucks because
What's doing the work, man?
the truth is there's no way to, because this is just the facts. There's no way to just set this little thing up and then everybody stays committed and you're not.
Yeah.
You can't have hollow words. You have to live it. And, that's I guess that's the crappy part. But at the same time, it's not. Well, I thought it was the crappy part. Now that I'm living it, I don't know. It's been amazing because it's just in a more positive feedback loop because there's no bullshit. It's just, you know what I'm saying?
Yep. Now for sure. And like you said, the modeling's a great phrasing and a great way to demonstrate commitment, right? I always tell people on the team, like, I'm never going to tell you anything to do that I didn't do myself or I'm not currently doing, right? So, did you ever see that Jordan documentary? It's on
Oh, yeah.
ESPN or
Fantastic.
whatever, right? He kind of says that. He's like, one thing about Michael Jordan is I never told you I'd do something and I didn't do it, right? And it shows him like running sprints and staying late, shooting jumpers. And getting after it and getting training and all that kind of stuff and putting in all the hard work. It's like, yeah, like you said, but if you're not modeling those same behaviors to your team, like, you know, what are you doing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, that's one of the things that's been so great about Follow Up Boss is that leaderboard, and the ability for them to see your calls. And because a lot of people, we've heard this all before. Oh, we they see this shiny, the iceberg tip, but they don't see all the work underneath. And so the great thing about Follow Up Boss in the team setting is you can literally see people's work throughout the week as long as they're using the smart number, or whatever number, I don't know, the phone number and Follow Up Boss. And
Pro
it's great.
hack for this. Wait, pro tip on the follow up bus on your contact for your phone. You should have your pro pick, right? Your follow up boss number, your cell phone number, website, email address. And then that way, when you share that out, it comes from chat, it doesn't come from our business lines.
Hmm. Yeah. But the thing about it is it actually shows that body of work, that's being done. So, we've been having these money time shifts, we call them, and we had one that was being missed today. So I logged in, said, "All right, if you're not going to log on, I'm going to take the shift. I'm going to show you." And in 20 minutes, went through more what anybody had been doing in the past 2 hours. And it's not that I'm better than I got harshly rejected today. It was a really ugly one. I did pretty good dealing with it, but it was ugly. So what did I do? I shared that in there because being on a team, and I've had some sales, and they look at it and they think, oh, he's doing it because he's Chad. Like,
Yeah.
they need to see that I've gotten here through a bunch of micro commitments, time and time again, building the skill over and over and over. And even though I've done all that, there's still times where I fail. Just like, I mean, there's still games that Michael Jordan played that it didn't win. Like, you could go see Michael Jordan on a certain night, and he went through hell.
Didn't have it. Yeah, yeah, for sure. But I just had to go bring up the leaderboard on mine. Yep. I'm too competitive. Nobody's
Oh, me
gonna
too.
no nobody's ever gonna nobody's gonna beat my number every month. But I will still hand out our ultimate follow up championship belt, which we're gonna give out the first time tomorrow for we'll call it first, second place. Close, close, but no cigar.
No, it's the thing. Well, that's a good. So it's even good for me too when you have that leaderboard, because it's like I was gonna say that, but I was like, I won't go there. But then you did. I'm like, yeah, I
Yeah.
will. I will not be number two. I refuse.
No, if my icon is on the other side of number one, I'm not going to be happy. So no, I can't tell
Uh,
them that they'll never outwork me, and then my numbers stink.
exactly. Yeah, you can't. Yeah. I mean, that's another really, really good one that we've seen lately is the hollow words. Like, I love that. Like, not to have hollow words. I mean, that's and there's been times where I have, and I see it, and I'm like, man, that's it's that's the problem. You and I are trying to be leaders, and leadership is a skill set. It is not to be taken lightly. And I don't think there's a lot of training around lead conversion, lead generation, and blah 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 blah. I don't think there's a lot of at least good training on leadership skills.
Yeah, for
The real
sure. It's lonely, right? You're always putting in the extra hours, and maybe you don't get too much feedback on stuff, but then maybe you'll get the comment or the text that makes it all worth it. Like, hey man, I really got all that. Really appreciate the team trainings. They're awesome. Hey, thanks for clarifying that. That really helped me out with this and that. It's like, okay, it's worth it. But like you said, a lot of the times what we're doing is we're just building ours out. It's like the messy middle, right? So try. Let's speaking of this with commitment, and we could kind of end it with this topic is right. How do you stay committed on something that's a long game? It's not short term, right? You're trying to be number one in the state. You're trying to be the number one team in your area. How do you stay committed as you're on that journey? And maybe you don't see the success after success after success, or
Well, yeah, and bringing it down, like, it doesn't have to always, maybe you just want to sell 10 houses, and you make this valid, and maybe you want to sell Just a house, how do you stay committed, period, when I mean, even selling a house is a long game sometimes, I mean, you get in the business, you've got to make, you might not have one plop out. You might, I mean, for me personally, I think my first sale came 4 months in. I didn't sell a house for 4 months. I got team members that quit in 30 days, um, how do you stay through that long journey though, when if you do set something big, yeah, that's a really, really good one. I mean,
Well, here's the reality of it, right? You're a new agent starting out. You're going to be prospecting. Maybe you make 20 calls the first day, get a lot of rejection, maybe no answers or whatever, and you're kind of bummed out. Then you do it day two, kind of the same. And then day three, maybe you get a little bit more traction because you haven't been bad enough at something to be good at it yet. So you're still kind of learning, right? And then day five, you got nothing. So you worked a whole week, you got no appointment, you got no kind of traction. And then now week two, Monday morning comes and you're dreading it, right? But then maybe you get an appointment set. But now you got to take them out. And now it's like 45 days out if they offer to close to get paid. So you're not seeing that, kind of financial gain for, 90 days, 120 days, or whatever, and staying committed between that day zero when you first start and you're kind of taking your lumps and getting that learning curve to day 120 when it's finally like, okay, I'm paying off now, right? Staying in the messy middle, just committing to the daily process, right?
yep, and that's where well, I want to come back and actually answer the question though, because you said, so how do you stay committed on a long journey? And I have no other way other than to answer it two ways. One is for me personally, nothing matters but like solving the problem. Like, and that's like a thing. It's like, I don't care if it's fixing my Google Home or Apple Home Kit at the house, or like TV messes up, or like I cannot, like, I have to solve the problem. I have to solve the problem, else I will not quit until it's solved. So for me, it's just like there's no other way. For me, it's like if I'm focused on it, it's what's happening. I don't care. I don't care. So that's mine. But for what I think is the best way that I think you and I share this now, but what we found with agents or other people is to tie the one thing that outcome will change for them in their personal life that they're currently not experiencing. When you tie okay, oh, I want to sell 40 houses. Okay, cool. All right, and you got to make these many calls and blah blah blah, and then you'll be there. Math, cool. And they're like, okay. As opposed to when you go, okay, I want to sell 40 houses. What will change for you that you currently don't have in your personal life if you sell 40 houses? And sometimes it's a process because they don't even think about that. Like, well, I just, oh, I'd be valid. Okay, cool. But what does that mean? What would you do if you sold 40 houses? You're not able to do something right now, right? Well, I'd be out of debt, or I'd buy a car, or I'd buy my first house, or I would have a
Take the
better
kids to Disney.
take the kids to Disney's, the family trip. Um, I know for me right now, we got to focus on something like that, and that's what drives you through it. And I sit and I establish it too. For me, my wife and our 10-year anniversary is coming up next year.
Thank. Nice.
If I hit my goals, we're gonna have a better anniversary celebration. Not like it's like but I will have the funds to have a better anniversary celebration, right?
Baby, you're either going to Taco Bell or we going to Mexico. Which one you want to go?
But boy, doesn't that motivate you a lot more when you're
Sure.
having to stay committed, when you have a vision like that, and it's not the big why, it's something that you can touch and feel in the near future.
Yeah. So I think it's good to have like the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal at the end, something that you can look forward to. But when you're in the suck, you're in that day that just stinks and you're getting no traction, you're getting the FUs. I think, kind of just trust in the process, right? I know that real estate is a math game. If I stay consistent with 20 calls every single day, I should be able to hit my number based on just that math. So, regardless of outcome, trying to keep it outcome, uh, generic or whatever you want to call it, where it's you're not focused on the outcome, you're focusing on the activity. If I do this every single day, my goals will be met. The numbers prove it. The science is there. So if you do have that one day, guess what? Most likely that next day is going to be better. and then the next day is going to be better. For one, you're going to get more practice, so you're going to have better skills. But for two, the science and the numbers are all starting to line up in your favor. So don't quit after after the first day when you're in the struggle, you're in the suck, and everything's tough. You want to just you got through the hard part. That next day is going to be easier. Then the next day is going to be easier, and you're going to get better and better and better. Bang, you're going to hit that BHAG.
And here's the one thing I think that was really helpful. See, if you're watching this and you go, "Yeah, I'm just not committed though. I've never proven that I'm committed. I suck. I quit everything early and blah blah blah." And you got that negative self-talk going on, and I understand because I've been there. Here's the one thing I want to give you. I want you to think about if you're watching this right now. I want you to think: do you have a bad habit currently? Do you maybe eat something you shouldn't frequently? Do you maybe do something you shouldn't often? Do you go to bed too late? Do you scroll too much? Do you do it and then take that bad habit? You can do it consistently, like daily or weekly. I bet you do. I bet you have a bad habit. I bet you eat too many Cheetos, during the week or something. There's something for you. But here's the cool part. We look at our negative stuff and we always think so bad. But here's the thing: we're demonstrating that we can be consistent.
Yeah.
You're being consistent with a bad habit.
Mm-hmm.
You have the ability to stay consistent. You just put the wrong reward. You put the reward mechanism in the wrong spot.
Yeah. And full disclosure, I'm terrible with a bunch of that stuff. I stay up late. I don't always eat the best. Maybe I don't drink the best. Maybe I don't have certain things, but awareness is key. When I know where I'm going down that thing, maybe I'll be like, okay, I got to get it out of my system. I'll stay up late tonight and watch a movie. Because if I don't, then it kind of messes with my, I don't know, night owl hood or whatever you want to call it. So, giving yourself that kind of leeway is not a bad thing, right? Where it's like, okay, that night I'm going to do, watch movies and play video games or whatever your thing is or whatever. So kind of giving yourself that out isn't the worst thing, because stay committed the rest of the time.
Well, it's not. Yeah, I mean that's a separate. I mean, but for me, it's more. If you don't think you have the ability to be committed and consistent and whatever, you are probably demonstrating it somewhere. So you're wrong. Like you're wrong. You just are doing it with a negative thing. All right, here's a great way. Here's a great example. Let me make it make total sense too. So like going into the pantry and grabbing snacks and chips and stuff. Bad habit, right?
Horrible
Well,
habit. Middle
okay.
Fourth barbecue. Oh, daddy likey.
Quest protein chips, Ratio protein yogurt, Made Good granola bars, and protein shakes. They
Yeah.
are easy and simple. All I did was take that same motion, that same habit, that same thing, and replaced it with that instead of the other thing. It's the
Yeah.
same exact everything.
Yeah.
Just do it with that instead of this.
Yeah. You're not hungry. You're just bored. No, I'm down with the Quest chips, man. My son got me on those protein chips.
Oh, good.
Fire. Yeah, yeah. I told my wife, just don't buy any of that fucking shit, so I don't have to eat it. I'm like, do not buy any of it, because if I'm there, my willpower by the fucking end of the night is horrible, and yeah, I'll
It's
crash
so
and burn.
there's basically Brittany's grocery trip for her and the kids, and I try, but I'm like, oh, here's the boring Chad that wants all this stuff, and I just go to the store and grab my own little ingredients list. But I mean, I think that there's some of the things that are starting to creep into their world too, because you can't make somebody do it. You can just model it,
For
but they
sure.
see over. It's only been probably a year in that aspect in the health and fitness space, but they're starting to see, okay, well, it's starting to work. So
Nice. Well, I think we tried to commit to 30-minute podcasts, and we fail all the time out of it. We just
don't you stress about the wrong things. No.
we just start yapping, and this is what happens when we're on the phone. And it's like
What the
40
people
minutes
want.
later, people want the love. People want dropping the nugs, for sure. But
Yeah.
last actionable tip. What else do you got for the peeps? Give them something to go home with. I'll say be committed to this podcast. Like, subscribe, share.
Huh.
If you want to hear us talk about a topic, Uncle Jay's asking, what do you want to
Okay,
hear?
I
But
got it.
that will give you a nugget to leave you with. And this is going to be, I'm going to put them on the spot. This is going to be something that's going to change your life forever.
Yeah, no. Well, when you're in that suck of the commitment and it's hard, I think we all want that magic pill to get past other people because we've got this certain thing, right? When it's hard, that's when you are on to the magic pill, so to speak, because it's gonna be hard for everyone else. And if you can make it and continue to push through that hard, 90 plus percent, probably 99, are not gonna follow you on the thing. So every time anymore, and I'm hearing this a lot in some different ways lately, but every time it gets hard, I go, hell yes. Good luck following me.
Yeah. Now, the being hard or kind of getting those butterflies in your stomach should be your body telling you that you're on the right track, right? So just stick with it. You are making momentum in the right direction for sure. Love that.
Good stuff. Well, we will be back next week because we're committed. We'll be
The
doing
big
this.
4-0. What?
Is it? Oh, it is. Yeah.
The big 4-0. Dude, we're almost like a year into this thing. Is that commitment? Are we showing and modeling the behaviors that we're telling others to do?
And we're not hollow words here when we start a podcast. And it was haphazard. It was a random idea. It was a random text message, but we don't just do it for 2 weeks and quit. Jason and I are committed human beings. So this is really good that we can show you that. And we'll be,
Actually, I was not committed. I'm only on 38. You're always going to be one ahead of me, one I couldn't make.
That's true. That's true. See, no, life isn't like that. It's
For
fine.
sure. Family first, right?
That's it. Well, thanks for jumping on. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, and I forgot the little ticker. Oops, but whatever. We're committed. We'll be
Oh,
back.
yeah.
Shark
Flashy,
Nation live.
shiny object. Sign up.
Now you go there. We got our past episodes. You can subscribe to the thing. There's probably links. You can also join the Facebook group for free. We interact with you, help you out in any way. We're just started it up, so we're building some traction in there. But jump in there. Love to add some value. The shark mentality. Be on the offense. Attack life. Don't sit on the
Monthly
side.
mastermind, end of the month. Be there.
That's it. First Sunday of every month. And he left me to hang. Okay, well, I'm committed, so I'm still here. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you all in the next one.